Okay. Hi guys, welcome back. We're still on pit row. If anyone's shocked, I don't think they should be at this point. Still nice and hot, nice and toasty. I was checking into some of our medical tent earlier, and we're getting closer and closer to those 100s here on pit row, and then like high 90s. Currently, the track recorded at about 121 degrees already. So nice and toasty. Good for solar cars, not great for people. So we're out here. We're back currently with our Covenant Christian Academy, doing well, and we're going to talk about their advanced car. If you remember from the last couple times we've checked in with them, they do have two cars on the track, their advanced car and their classic car. It's my understanding that the classic one has the little orange nose,
Yes.
and the advanced car has the blue nose, and that's how we can tell them apart. Because other than that, they use pretty similar tactics for building the car with different internal components. And we already checked in with y'all about kind of what makes the cars different and how that works with the advanced division having kind of, those better batteries with the lithium ion and different things and hub motors and so on. So that's been awesome. But we've checked in with y'all early on. It's now day 3 of the race. So we've been racing for a little bit, and I'd love to hear, just give me a bit of an update on how your car's doing, how's the advanced car doing, and is she running the way you expected her to be running at this point?
Well, this morning, not quite so much. Tommy has been our driver for most of the morning, and we just switched over to Jake, who is our current driver right now. But we ended up having 3 issues and where we needed to come off the track. The first one, we had a voltage issue with our battery. The second one, we had a flat tire. And the third one, we had another voltage issue, but we stayed on the track and kept running. So if you want to, Tommy can talk about the flat tire since he was driving the car.
Yeah, no, where Tommy hit me. How was that flat tire experience out on the track, I assume?
Well, at first, I was driving normally, and then the car started, shaking up and down a bit. And so I was slowing down just in case. And then once I was around, 10 miles per hour, the tires, it just blew out. And so I just swerved towards the wall so that the other cars coming wouldn't hit the car, so...
Getting over to the side nice and safely, making sure, obviously, you're here. The car is doing better now. We're doing okay. So tell me, tire pop. We've had a similar conversation with another team, but I'd love to hear your perspective. When a normal car tire pops, right, there's a certain way you go about kind of changing a tire that some people are probably going to be familiar with. What does it look like when a solar car tire pops? Is that more chaotic? What do you guys have to go through, and what does that look like for your team?
It was pretty chaotic because we, along with that tire, we changed the front 2 tires of our car, along with did some adjustments to the battery, and we were trying to do that actually, we lost our brake time already because of our issues previously, and so we were trying to get back on the track as quick as possible. But on the tire itself, I mean, you have to jack up the car, you have to unscrew the screws, unscrew the locking pieces, and there's some spacers in there as well. Take that off, put new tires on both sides, and once you get that all back on and down on the ground, you have to realign the wheels because we were just driving on a rim for a little while. So yeah, it takes a lot of effort to do it.
Yeah, and it's pretty impressive that as students, you guys are able to kind of get in there, figure it out, get it as fast as possible. You mentioned talking about your break time. For those of you that are maybe newer and still catching up with some of this, with an advanced team, if you remember, we've talked earlier, they are required to take a 30-minute break at any point, but they aren't required to take it off during when all the other cars are forced to kind of remove. That way their division can keep running. So you already used up your 30-minute, which is good. You always want to get in your 30-minute break. But I definitely agree, getting your car back out on the track is always the number one goal, so you can keep going and keep on rolling. So that's really, really awesome. I kind of want to point on this. I've seen a couple things similar with some teams about how important having spares of things is. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what is your recommendation in terms of spares, and what can you never have too much of?
Don't mind. Tommy, do you have any tips?
So just predict how many you will need and just get maybe 10 or 15% more of it just as a backup, because something unexpected can happen. There could, for tires, for example,
85
there could be something on the road that literally rips the tires and causes a flat. So, and not just it, what's it called, running dry or whatever, just pouring off. So just having extras can be really helpful because you never know what might happen. So
Do you want to add to any of that?
Yeah, well, and even extras of extras, because our advisor was originally planning to bring 2 extra 12 volts. Our cars run off, we made our own lithium ion batteries, so we don't actually use normal blocky 12 volt batteries, and he was planning on bringing 2, but we brought a third extra, and we ended up using those for those 3, daisy chaining together and using those to run our auxiliary power.
That's awesome. And a lot of engineering involved, and you're definitely right. From what I've heard from other teams and from my own experience when I used to race, having extra of the extra, like you said, is always important because you really never know how much you're going to need. And it's pretty cool to think that, a lot like a NASCAR race, you're going to want extra tires, you're going to want to be prepared for anything because we want to get back out on the track, just like any race, for any racer. So it's really great to hear. And like I said, your car's now driving, car's now going. I've seen some pretty cool snapshots out here on the track of both of your cars kind of coming around the bend together. And it's been really fun to see that. How is it being able to actually see your car up and going and having a good racing day? What does that feel like to be able to see the car that you guys have put so much work into out circling the track like that?
Well, it's great, especially since this morning we had plenty of sun last night, because that wasn't the case for coming up to day 2. But today has been great since we'll be able to use that power.
Awesome. You want to add to that too?
Well, I guess with our cars, just even while you're driving, it's just awesome to see your other car passing people. It's just an all-time great experience, honestly.
Yeah.
And sometimes passing us.
Having your own inter-team competition right there, that's always going to be fun. I'm sure that's a really great time. So now that your car is, driving, doing its thing, you said you were driving just now, hopped out. So glad we got the exclusive with one of our drivers. I've been asking this question to a couple of my known drivers, but I'd love to hear your perspective. What is it like to be able to drive on a NASCAR Texas Motor Speedway? How does it feel to be at a world-famous and world-renowned track?
I don't know. I guess just lucky because not a lot of people get to experience this experience because not a lot of people are NASCAR driver compared to the rest of the people. So just being able to drive on it, it's honestly just a great feeling.
Yeah, and I can't imagine even as a high school student being able to say these things and do these things is really, really awesome. And as your car is now circling and going around on the track again, I'd love to hear kind of how are you doing now? What's the confidence level now? And what are you guys kind of pushing to finish out your car? We're getting slowly but surely closer to the end of the race day today. What is your strategy for following up the race, and what are you guys hoping to do in terms of how you're driving your vehicle?
Well, we'd like to not completely run out our battery to have some for tomorrow, but we do as much as we can because we did get a little bit extra battery power from coming off the track, and we charged it a little bit while we were fixing things and things like that. So we do have a little bit extra, and we plan to use all of that to try and come closer to our competition. So.
That's awesome. And I think that's an interesting thing, and not many people may be familiar with this just because not as many people drive with those batteries. Kind of you mentioned about you don't want to wear all your batteries out today because you want to have some charge for tomorrow. Tell me a little bit about how that works just as a high level, right? Like, I know you guys get to put your cars out at the end of the day to try to capture the last bits of sun, try to capture a little bit of the morning, and then tomorrow being the last day, kind of being able to go all out on the track. What is it like in terms of recharging your battery, and what is the strategy on making sure you get enough charge? People who may not be familiar, they might not understand why you wouldn't just want to run down your entire battery by the end of the day.
Well, there just simply isn't enough time to charge. I mean, even with as efficient our arrays are, there isn't enough time to charge it back up to where we would need it to be to continue racing during that end of the day and morning times. And so we have to leave a chunk to kind of, I don't know what that would be, a little spacer to kind of let us still be able to race well the next day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think a really good insight for possibly other teams that might be looking at doing what y'all are doing. And any team that might be coming out to the track, just knowing that these things change and that you really have to kind of start to learn and work on your vehicle. And speaking of learning and working on your vehicle, I've been asking kind of a similar question. I think we've gotten some really interesting insight from teams. Now that we've started driving, the race has been underway for a couple days. Like I said, we've already checked in with y'all before, but I'd love to see now at this point, are there any things you guys have learned about your car, maybe learned about yourselves or your team since kind of coming to the race, and now that we've been on the track for multiple days? What has maybe been something that you weren't anticipating that you've picked up from this time?
I'll let Tommy go first on this one.
Well, first of all, our charge controller, our original one, the capacitor in it blew, which completely ruined our entire capacitor. So, charger. So so luckily we had a backup just in case. Well, the backup we're currently using is from previous year. So, I guess it's just always nice to have backups. So, yeah.
That backup, that extra of an extra. I like it. What about you?
Definitely trying to keep calm, even though the situation may be, or around you may be extremely stressful, because for at least us, in the morning, getting ready to start the race, we've been some of the last, even though we're one of the first teams to start the race, we're usually one of the last teams to get up there. And just getting all that down and staying calm and orderly during that time is definitely something I'm learning. And
Yeah, I know. I like that. I think that's something I haven't heard from teams yet so far. So that's a really great insight to share with some of our viewers. I have a few more questions while we kind of brave the heat out here on pit row. Kind of looking at, you were talking about how you're figuring out how to stay calm under pressure, doing these things. And it kind of makes me wonder, just how real world experience this is. We've heard from a bunch of different teams about what skills they feel like they're learning from this experience. So I'd love to hear from you. How much do you think this type of experience compares to learning engineering in a classroom? And maybe would you recommend this to other students who are interested in engineering but maybe aren't yet on a solar car team, or schools that may not have a solar car team yet? Is this something that you would recommend as an engineering project?
Yes, I would recommend it extremely, because for me, I'm actually not going into engineering. The rest of the people on our team are going into engineering, but I'm not. But coming from an kind of an outsider's perspective who's not planning to do this in the future, it's definitely something that would help in life and help propel you towards a beginning in engineering, because a lot of the other teammates or team members of other teams that I've talked to, they know a whole lot about their cars and everything, and that would be a great start into going or engineering further in life. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And honestly, before I will get to you, but I did want to add, I think there's a lot of value in, even if you're not in engineering, the idea of like the engineering mindset and how to look at a problem and work through it. And like you said, staying calm and being flexible, and how to look at different things from different angles, I think can be beneficial for anybody. So I definitely agree with you. And I think there is a lot of value for members of teams that maybe aren't as engineering mindset and maybe are interested in business, or interested in marketing, or interested in communications, or interested in just about anything. So I think it's actually really valuable for you, regardless of what you may want to do in your future. So I applaud you for being a part of this, and I don't think there's any shame in necessarily not going into engineering, and I definitely think that you will be able to pull things from this. That's awesome. But moving on, I guess, what about you for your answer? How do you feel like you might recommend this to other teams, and do you feel like this is comparable to a real engineering experience?
Well, I would recommend this to others, people who are interested in engineering, because I myself am going to go into engineering. So, solar car, like, it helped me get hands-on experience. We have advisors who can help teach us new stuff that we didn't know. And I feel like that would help us when we actually get to college and actually learn stuff, see how it applies, and then we can just recall back on our experience in building, actually racing, and just seeing how it works. I feel like it would be like a great experience that you can draw from while taking classes.
No, I definitely agree. And for a second, if I'm willing, humor me for a little bit. I'd love to just hear a little bit from you, talking about not going into engineering further. What things do you feel like propelled you to continue to be on the team, even not from an engineering perspective? And maybe what have you been able to get from this in terms of, is this worth it as an experience, regardless of if you have an engineering interest in the future?
Well, I first joined the team in 2019. I wasn't actually a part of the team up until that race, but they needed drivers. And so my friend was like, hey, you want to come drive for this race? And I was like, sure. And after that, I loved it. And so since then, I've been building the car and helping out with that. But it's definitely helped me be a little more, I'd say, organized and better with my hands, especially during the race. The race helps a lot, because sometimes the days are slow in the workshop when you're trying to build the car, and it can be a little annoying trying to get things together. But at the race, that's when things come fast and they come hard, and you got to be ready. So I think that's where and the days leading up to the race. Well, when you're last minute finishing things, and if you're not, if your car's not built by then, which has been for us. But yeah, that's what I think. So.
Really awesome. I do have one more quick thing before I let you guys get back to your team, especially as we're getting into kind of the later afternoon aspects of this race. I asked some of your teammates this already, but I'd love to hear some of your perspective on this. Really not as much perspective, but just giving you guys the opportunity to say what you'd like to say. Is there anything else you'd like to add for our live stream, for our viewers? Maybe any thank yous you'd like to say? Any people you'd like to say hello to that may be tuning in and hopefully supporting you from behind the scenes even? It'll be great to just kind of give a shout out to anything you'd like to say throughout this race.
I'll let Tommy go first.
Tommy, sure.
Well, I'll give special thanks to the Caraways. So Jake got me into this program. So without him, I wouldn't be here. So I would like to give thanks to him, and I would like to give thanks to my family who just supported me on the way here. So
that's awesome. I really appreciate it. Do you have anybody you'd like to say hello to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Jake too, because he's the captain of our team, and he's really the one who pulls the strings on the advanced car and helps us get to where we need to go. But also, I guess my family for coming here and supporting me, and even being up when I get home and having dinner sometimes. So yeah.
For sure. No, I really appreciate y'all sharing, and I know that there's a lot of support that goes behind the scenes into getting everybody here. So if you guys haven't noticed from the way our teams have been answering that question, thank you guys for watching and for being here supporting a team. It really makes it worth it, and I think being able to support these students is such an incredible thing to be a part of. So we want to thank everybody who's been watching along, cheering along, helping make sure you guys are fed, doing whatever you need to do to be able to get back out on that track. And with that, we will say thank you very much, and we will be seeing some more teams very soon. But I really appreciate it, Covenant Christian, and we will be talking to Covenant Christian again a little bit later. So stay tuned to hopefully check in with their classic car. Thank you guys so much.